Once again, we have another case of ICE officers being assaulted, verbally abused, obstructed, impeded, all caught on camera. And we also have an elected official from the area telling people to fight back if they believe in freedom. So we're going to dig into all of this and see what exactly is going on. Let's start from the beginning.
Normally on a Friday evening, this restaurant behind me would be packed with customers, but today it was forced to shut down after chaos unfolded during an operation by federal authorities. Now, employees I spoke with told me that they detained several workers. Right now, we're working to confirm the exact number.
And by the way, if you guys could please leave a like on the video, it's the #1 way you can help this channel, and make sure you're leaving your comments down below how you feel about this situation as we dig into the details. Now, context matters because recently Homeland Security put out this list, the Sanctuary Jurisdictions Defying Federal Immigration Law list. Basically, if you are caught on this list as a sanctuary city or a city acting like a sanctuary city, do expect more deportation raids. And when you scroll down, San Diego is on the list. Now, I do want to remind everyone that is not a war zone, that is San Diego, just like Councilman Rivera is saying of San Diego, an elected official, who's also saying, and anyone who cares about freedom and true safety should be fighting back. Now, I also want to reiterate this. I do think San Diego will become a war zone as far as more of these clashes and more of these protests. It is a common occurrence for ICE agents right now, especially in San Diego, to face protesters, to face assault and obstruction. I mean, check out this video from a courtroom hallway in San Diego just a few days ago.
I'm not. Please don't touch me. Please don't touch me. Please don't touch me. You've touched me with your arm. You can't do that.
You're violating.
There's a notice right here. There's a notice.
Okay, we already know that too. We know that too.
Oh, you back up. Back up. Back up.
Get out of the way. She's impeding us.
He's impeding us. Yes, back up. Back up. Back up. Back up.
Now, it's not a coincidence we are seeing events like this come out of San Diego. Understand California as a whole, it is a sanctuary state, but specifically in San Diego, you have provisions like this. A temporary restraining order for any court in San Diego, you cannot perform the arrest, that ICE is doing in these public hallways. However, the federal government supersedes these state jurisdictions as far as sanctuary policies, and under the Biden administration, they granted that to the state. However, under the Trump administration and with these new executive orders, it doesn't matter who you are, what city you are, San Diego is on the list as well for these deportations, and of course, people are going to push back.
This was the chaotic scene of an operation by Homeland Security investigations as they swept through this restaurant at the corner of Beach and 30th Street. Heavily armed agents can be seen in full tactical gear as cars block the streets off. In this video, you can hear loud booms and sirens as community members surrounded their cars. Pedro Rios with American Friends Service Committee was there and watched as people were taken away in handcuffs.
Now, one thing I do want to point out, and this is quite common in sanctuary cities, even in the local broadcast, they are referring to these illegal immigrants as just people. And this is why the Trump administration put this list out when it comes to sanctuary cities. You are creating this culture of non-distinction between an illegal immigrant and a legal immigrant. I agree an illegal immigrant is a person, but even Stephen Miller recently on CNN had this to say about not making a distinction.
Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem posted a stunning allegation saying that an undocumented migrant sent a letter threatening to kill the president, promising to self-deport after the assassination. CNN reporting shows that investigators believe the migrant was set up. It was a victim of a
So off the bat, you have undocumented migrant and then you have migrant. So two different classifications. Migrant can still be a legal citizen. I am a migrant, but I came here legally, but it could also be implied. Undocumented migrant is not even necessarily an illegal immigrant. It's just somebody who might not have their driver's license.
Set up. What is the administration going to do now? And this is an undocumented immigrant. I do want to note that, but this was someone who came forward, was a victim of a crime, and now law enforcement believes he was set up. Go ahead.
Well, I want to clarify what you mean, so we're talking about the same thing. Are you saying this immigrant was here illegally?
Yes, but I am, and that's why I said that. I clarified that.
You said undocumented, and I wasn't clear what that means. I'm assuming they have a fake ID. I'm assuming they have a fake social security number.
Neither.
You can be an undocumented American, but also be a legal American. Again, you could have a fake ID, and you would still fall under that classification. The whole point of all of this and why the Trump administration is really honing in on the clarification is because when you have events happening in San Diego and also in Boston and in Nashville, hey, they're deporting migrants. It sounds like ICE is deporting legal Americans when that's not the case.
Here nor there. That's getting away from the question, Stephen. I want this to be, and call me naive, a good faith discussion about what's happening right now.
But when we use language that's designed to obscure the truth, that's not good faith.
All right,
an illegal alien is an illegal alien. They're not an undocumented migrant.
Okay, that's fine. That's another discussion for another date.
I don't know the details of the assassination threat. All I can say, based on what you're telling me, is there's an illegal alien in our country who's making menacing threats. Regardless of the facts or circumstances, we don't want him here. We're going to get to the bottom of it, and I would gladly come back on when I have more information to share with you.
They were set up, just to be clear. But quickly, where is the White House on habeas corpus?
The illegal alien was treated unfairly. Yes, I'm sure the illegal alien was treated very unfairly.
The agents fired sound grenades, flashbang grenades at the crowd.
Claire Cody works at Buena Forcheta. She had just clocked in for her shift at about 4:30 Friday afternoon when she says several men in trucks went inside saying they had a search warrant. Claire says agents put employees in handcuffs to check their ID.
Again, you'll notice no clarifying statements. They're just called workers. They're called migrants. But again, Homeland Security, ICE, they are not in the business of deporting American citizens and legal migrants. Documented migrants or documented American citizens, they're in the business of going after illegal immigrants.
Hey, that's what makes America great.
Meanwhile, outside the restaurant, the community pushed back.
It was quite clear that there was just a complete rejection by the community of the federal agents of conducting this in their community and neighborhood.
Now, I do find it rather interesting in that local broadcast, all of the focus was on the restaurant and the migrants or workers, as they're saying. However, none of the focus was on the spitting of cop cars, trying to block the cop cars, impediment. You don't just escalate to flashbangs and trying to disrupt a riot or crowd if it doesn't get very bad. So yeah, you do have some very biased reporting, especially when you get into these localized areas in sanctuary cities. This happens across the board.
ICE enforcement officers are facing a 400% increase in assaults against them. And a lot of it is thanks to the demonization and vilification of them by bottom barrel politicians like AOC, like Tim Walz, and like most recently Rep. Dan Goldman out of New York, who called ICE enforcement officers, I guess, Gestapo.
And like the city council member we saw in San Diego. Again, you are totally allowed to have your opinion. I actually think it would be very bad for the Trump administration to say you can't have an opinion. Tom Homan, the border czar, has always said, you can hate me, you can hate this operation, but don't get in the way. Unfortunately, in these sanctuary cities, those opinions become physical acts like we're seeing throughout the country. After we get done with this clip, wait until we see what's happening in Boston. But again, the rates are up 400% as far as attacks on ICE agents, and this is probably going to go way up as well, specifically in these sanctuary cities that are supposed to be safe areas. Now, this is a raid in Boston, and Boston has always been an issue for the Trump administration as far as pushing these sanctuary policies. Check out how fast this happens, but also check out how fast a civilian is willing to get in the way of these ICE agents.
Come on, come on. I haven't got time here. Hey! Police! Police! Come here, hands up! Police! Police!
Again, here are the civilians standing in front of the ICE agents, standing in front of their vehicles. All of these guys can be put in jail, but it gets even worse than that.
Get out of his way! Don't you fucking touch me! Stop back! Step back! I won't touch you! Step back! You're interfering with the investigation!
Unfortunately, this altercation got violent. Now, the accusation was the ICE agents went out of their way to harm this man, but you can even see right here, he's just standing there right in the front of them, and he has to push him out of the way, doesn't move, and then gets pushed out of the way. Again, we hate to see these type of acts. We hate to see this happen, but the whole point of this video is to show you guys this is probably going to become a common occurrence, especially in these sanctuary cities. And unfortunately, this has become so political to the point that if you support deportations, you are now listed under like being hateful and all of that. But the reality of the situation is this: 60% of Americans actually agree with deportations. Totally agree with it. That is the mass majority. But again, in these sanctuary cities, these cultures have been created of division, of uninformed politicians who are using very low-tier arguments and not accurate arguments that are getting people hurt. I actually blame the politicians who are so anti-deportations. You're getting civilians hurt who are listening to you. So, sanctuary cities like San Diego definitely do expect more things, such as these riots or these ICE raids. Especially the Trump administration is looking for those 3,000 deportations. Now, I don't think it takes an expert to point out this is illegal activity, but believe it or not, oftentimes Homeland Security definitely gives a lot of leeway as far as going after people for obstruction. We have high-profile cases such as judges, possibly the mayor of Nashville may be arrested or charged with obstruction. However, when it comes to common civilians, it becomes very complex for ICE to even do anything to these civilians, which is why a lot of times you have civilians, they feel pretty confident getting in the way of ICE. However, that is illegal. But again, I do want to point out, this is a new occurrence for San Diego, or really California. It's just the reality of the situation we are in today. Sanctuary cities and sanctuary states have always been protected and, of course, not pursued by the Biden administration, but the Trump administration has said enough is enough. One thing I do want to point out, before a lot of people start to blame Donald Trump, I do want to point out the original plan was just to deport or go after people who have always had temporary status in the country. That's around 1 to 2 million illegal immigrants who were already told you have to leave upon entry. You also had a ton of illegal immigrants already in the prison system, but these sanctuary cities have created policies where now everybody is getting deported, especially those who were supposed to go to their court hearings and they were supposed to become either legal citizens or get asylum status. So before a lot of people shift the blame on Trump, you have to understand at the very beginning, it was just to go after illegal immigrants who already were here illegally. We know that. We have paperwork. They are documented that they're supposed to leave. So this is really collateral damage as far as the sanctuary policies, where everybody now is getting taken out as far as being deported. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I wouldn't be surprised if charges or something is coming for that city councilor or councilman. I think he's going to be in some big trouble.